Meet number 1 overall seed Auburn, a team whose starting lineup averages 23.4 years of age, the same as the Oklahoma City Thunder and older than the Portland Trail Blazers or Atlanta Hawks. Meet Houston, a team that starts a pair of 23-year-olds who have played a combined 316 games of college basketball. Meet Florida, a team that has gotten 56% of its scoring in this NCAA tournament from just 3 players, all of whom are age 22 and older. And then there's Duke, the only team remaining with a teenager in its starting lineup. In what seems like a sacrilege in this era of college basketball, the Blue Devils start 3 of them. Follow the madness. NCAA men's tournament bracket, scores, schedules, teams and more. I think there's a part of you that feels maybe you're a little crazy at times, just because it's so different, Duke coach Jon Scheyer said. Back in 2008, the last time there were 4 number 1 seeds in the Final Four, you had Memphis, whose best player was 19-year-old Derrick Rose. You had a UCLA team led by 19-year-old Kevin Love and Russell Westbrook. North Carolina had spectacular 20-year-olds in Wayne Ellington, Danny Green and Ty Lawson supporting 22-year-old Tyler Hansbrough. And national champion Kansas was the grizzled team of the bunch, whose starting lineup averaged a ripe old 21.4 years of age. That's how college basketball used to be. For better or worse, that's not how it is anymore. The landscape has definitely changed, said 23-year-old Houston guard L.J. Cryer, who started his college career with Baylor back in 2020-21. It's beneficial for us to stay in college as long as you can. I mean, if we had 7 years of eligibility, we would come back. Had he been a few years older, Cryer might not have stayed in college this long. He's a borderline NBA prospect, probably headed for a career in Europe or hoping to get a 2-way NBA contract that would shuttle him between the G League and the big club. Those types of players, and there were hundreds of them every year in college basketball, often tried to leave as early as possible, even if they were unlikely to get drafted. But that all changed in 2021 when the NCAA rescinded its long-standing rule that prevented players from profiting off their name, image and likeness. Suddenly, players in Cryer's situation had an economic incentive to stay as long as possible, with the opportunity to earn 6 or even 7 figures in some cases playing college basketball. When you combine that with all the other amenities college players get, first-class travel and accommodations, catered meals, medical care and playing games on national television, as opposed to the low-wattage lifestyle of the G League or playing in a country they've never heard of, it's a pretty easy decision to stick around as long as possible. I mean, why not? Said Auburn's Chad Baker-Mazara, who clocks in as the Final Four's oldest player at age 25. You can get paid and be able to help your family while getting a college degree or a college education. Why not? Having some older players on this stage isn't necessarily a new phenomenon in college sports. Every now and then, the NCAA would grant a 6th year of eligibility due to injuries. BYU has been a bit of an outlier historically in both football and basketball because of how many athletes went on 2-year Mormon missions and came back much more physically mature. But what's happening now across the country is a culmination of both the nil era and the fact the NCAA granted any athlete whose season was impacted by COVID in either 2019-20 or 2020-21 an extra year of eligibility. With a handful of exceptions, the glut of super seniors will filter out of the system by the next academic year. It does seem a little ridiculous that several players in this Final Four, including Duke's Mason Gillis and Houston's J'Wan Roberts, were part of the high school class of 2019. They entered college at the same time as players like Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Maxey. I think it's good having some guys stay, Scheyer said. I think there's a limit to it, though. I think we're getting to a place here now where 4 or 5 years is enough. But shoot, we've been able to take advantage of it too. Having Mason Gillis has been an awesome thing for us, and if they missed a year with COVID, they deserve that year back. But I do think going forward, it's probably going to be pretty good having that age where it should be. 23 years old should probably be the last year around that. Of course, Scheyer doesn't have much to complain about. He chose to zig where the rest of college basketball was zagging, and it has worked out beautifully for Duke. That was possible because Cooper Flagg came to college a year early. By age, he should have been a high school senior this year, and exceeded all expectations even though he didn't actually turn 18 until December. Shooting guard Con Newpel and 7'2" center Kaman Maluak have also performed the way 5-star prospects and possible NBA lottery picks are expected to. Duke couldn't quite do it in 2019 even though it had the number 1 pick, Zion Williamson, the number 3 pick, R.J. Barrett, and the number 10 pick, Cam Reddish, losing in the Elite Eight to an older Michigan State team. Kentucky's freshmen-dominated teams under John Calipari won a lot of games, but struggled at times to reach the sky-high expectations placed upon them. In fact, in the last 9 NBA drafts, just 4 players have gone from playing in the Final Four as freshmen to becoming top 10 picks a few months later. Stephon Castle, UConn; Paolo Banchero, Duke; Jalen Suggs, Gonzaga; and Zach Collins, Gonzaga. Meanwhile, coaches noticed that the championships were being won by programs like Villanova, North Carolina, Virginia and Baylor, who had NBA-level players that developed over multiple years. One and done went out of style, and the new mantra became, get old and stay old. I think you can get away with playing some freshmen as long as you have veterans around them, Houston coach Kelvin Sampson said. But those guys stopped being freshmen somewhere around Thanksgiving. By Christmas, hell, they might have been sophomores. Now they're just pros. To win a title, though, Duke's teenage pros will have to buck a well-established college basketball trend at the old